I've been up as high as doing sneakers for Jay-Z, but at the time when we were doing sneakers for Jay-Z in the very first run, man, me and my family was about to be evicted.
Y'all, welcome back. It's the Next Level Living Podcast. Y'all, #1 rated podcast amongst
anybody who like podcasts.
Hey. It's your favorite podcast.
Favorite
That's crazy. It's all good.
It's all the same.
It ain't the
Bro,
same.
y'all so meticulous.
It ain't the same. So basically, y'all, don't worry. Jay's the boss. He ain't got to know the script. But this is how it goes.
Bro, I am the script. So if I
like that.
Flip it.
So basically, Jay's saying if I mess it up, y'all go with me. That's what you were saying, right?
It's all good.
But it ain't enough salt in the game.
Mike is basically saying, welcome to the podcast.
The Next Level Podcast.
Right.
We don't want to welcome to
the Next Level Living Podcast.
Favorite podcast.
It's the #1 podcast.
For people who like favorite podcasts.
Oh, that's crazy. All right, we got it. Hey, we got it. Okay.
This was us when you weren't here for those 3 weeks.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
It was
Okay.
bad.
Well, welcome back.
Grace, though.
She did? Okay. Hey, shout out to my gang, y'all. Guess what, y'all? It's your favorite podcast. It's just that type of podcast. You see the family with it. We back, man. It's Mike Moss, man. I'm excited to be back with my family, man. Hey, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, Mike.
You feeling good?
Feeling really good. How you feeling?
Man, it's good, man. It's good to see y'all.
Yeah.
I feel like, man, the people was gone for so long, and it's just good to just see these episodes just coming week after week and just reminding them that we are still committed to this next level, man. We are here, man. We have so much in store for y'all today. Jay, how you feeling, bro?
Man, bro, I feel like every episode I be feeling like it's my birthday. Yeah. And I really have like close friends, like people I really fool with and respect and love, and that's like operating on the highest level. Like the benefit of y'all tapped in with our Next Level Living podcast. Like if you tapped in with me, I'm not just giving you, my depth, knowledge, insight, understanding, what I've experienced, but I'm bringing in my people that have experienced higher heights than I have, right? That's just doing absolutely amazing things. And today ain't going to be no different than previous episodes. My brother, some call him Talton, some call him AJ, some call him Alexander John. Man, how would let me do you justice, right? Fashion mogul, right? Husband, father, man of God, entrepreneur, fashionable hustler, like creative genius, artist. Come on, I gotta put artist in there.
You doing good so far.
Creator, like y'all, he's experienced so much, and I be trying to keep up, and then I'd be like, man, let me put this on my story, because I just want you to know I see you, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the love and respect I have for you, man. Then to see the work you do in that church with the young people, and you and your wife, and how y'all move, bro, you different.
Yeah.
So y'all put your hands together for my man, AJ Alexander John.
Let's
go. Let's go. How you feeling, my brother?
I feel good, man. Just to be invited, y'all don't understand. Like Jeremy is that character that is amongst you, that's a great, that you just be like, can I just touch the hem? Can I just touch the hem? He speaks so quick that he's gone, y'all. He in the truck, he's gone. No, seriously though, I feel amazed to even be here. I haven't gotten used to the calling that God has put on my life. I start at 0 every day. So every day for me, I experience like joy beyond, because I'm like, I have purpose. I'm called. So just being called to be on this, I'm like, God, you doing something.
But let me tell you why. Let me tell you why you called to be on this. Your mindset. You said you start at 0 every day? Bro, when Jay-Z wear your shoes, you feel me, Chris? Like the average person not starting on 0. The average person like, I'm gonna start at 85. Jay-Z wearing my shoes, all these celebrities, and like the rooms you in, bro, like the contracts, the deals you getting, like you partner with Pumas and Adidas, like, bro, like, and we'll get into all of that. But the fact that you say, man, I wake up every day humble, grateful that God has given me life, and I start at 0.
Yeah.
Like my mindset's like, I ain't even did nothing yet. But that's why you are where you are and why you're going to keep climbing. Talk about that.
Yeah, so for me, we grew up 10 kids in the family. Okay. So I'm the 3rd out of 10. Yeah, so we grew up not having all the cool stuff. I started
Where
at 0.
you grew up where?
I was born in Louisiana.
Okay.
So
What part?
Fort Polk.
Okay.
My
Okay.
dad was in the service. My mom is from St. Lucia,
Okay.
West Indies. So her people are in Cleveland, Ohio, and then my dad's people are in the South, Alabama, and he was in the service. So Louisiana was where I was born. But we came upon tough times, man. My mom and my dad, they split at 7, and things were just downhill from there. We lost, multiple homes. Had to move from place to place to place. I've lived in over 15 states. And, growing up, that was the thing. It was like you start at 0 every day because you may not be living at this house tomorrow.
Dang.
You may be put out of this house and you don't have the clothes to take with you. So now you don't even got them threads no more. So you got to start from 0 every day. And so I looked at Jesus' life. Jesus started at 0 every day. He didn't even ride off the blessings from yesterday. He like, I'm doing this today. We're going to go to the other side. So that's my mentality. He didn't even know where his address was going to be.
Straight up.
He had people taking care of that. So if he can rest in God's care like that, then who am I to? Oh, I did shoes for Jay-Z. That ain't gonna feed my family today.
Yeah.
That part.
Straight up.
That's only impressive when you're on stage speaking at the Next Level Speakers Academy. Like they can feel that,
Right.
Yeah.
but when we're talking about actually making moves today, that has nothing to do with it no more.
Straight up.
Right.
It's back there. Cool. That's a moment.
That was a moment.
Praise
right.
God. I'm able to touch those people. I got
Right.
purpose in touching people like that. But to say that I carry around every day, half of the time I'm meeting people, I don't even tell them. They find out, later. And they're like, why did you let me do all this? I'm like, because it has nothing to do with us and our
Right.
genuine encounter today.
Yeah.
You going to give me some more money because I did something for Jay-Z? Like, that
Right.
gonna happen? So I tell the kids that too. And it keeps you from being so caught up on just this lifestyle that you've been chosen for. So to me, like, I get to be around a whole bunch of people because of what I do. I'm not just there. I'm there because I have a service. I have something that God has brought me to this place for. And then from there, there's a conversation to me that I've learned, should be had because they start asking you why, why can you design stuff like this? Why, does your mind work this way? And I get to tell them that I pray about everything and God is the source. So starting at 0 every day allows God to fill me up with something new.
You know what? I think this is a perfect time to try to jump in this because, bro, you talk about starting from 0. You talk about some things that I think the Next Level Living Academy actually represents. Chris, will you talk about our spotlight? We got people who've started from nothing and who are pushing themselves so much. I think maybe last week or a couple of weeks ago, we was talking about someone who had 28,000, 26,000 for an engagement.
Yeah, 25,
25,000 for an engagement.
Yeah.
And these people are starting from 0. Like these people are literally taking nothing and they're trusting. I'm not talking about coming from nothing. I'm talking about leaving what was comfortable to trust Jeremy, to trust the community, to start with zero idea of what it takes to do it. You know what I'm saying? But pouring everything in there and they're making real results.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about our spotlight for this week.
Yeah. So our spotlight today is actually Jared Scott.
Oh, that's my guy.
I don't know if y'all have seen any of our previous episodes, but Jared has been doing his thing.
Yeah.
This time, $46K for one engagement.
Let's go, Jared. Let's go. Let's go.
It's incredible.
Yo, that's different.
Come on, man.
It's different.
And it's not even just the money, like the lives that Jared is changing
Absolutely.
through his rapping, through all the stuff that he is doing to get the youth. And
Sure.
man, he's changed more lives than he's made money.
Facts. And that's the part people don't.
That's a bar.
Yeah.
They see like all the money, but you don't see all the places he's been speaking at for
Right.
free. You don't see the last 13 years. Truth be told, Jared been speaking since he was 17 years old. So he been speaking since he was like a senior in high school. So he been had a heart for people. There was a suicide pandemic that took place in his city and his school. And he was like, I'm losing all my friends.
Yeah.
So he started writing raps to inspire and motivate him. Man, he got a beautiful soul.
Yeah, he
And
does.
so to see it where he is now in life and to see him traveling and speaking now and making this type of impact, it's an absolute
With his
beautiful
wife,
thing.
Mackenzie, right? Didn't he just have a baby?
And they
He just had.
a baby.
Yeah.
Shout out to him and
Yes.
Mackenzie, man.
Yes.
Shout out. We got another Next Level Living baby for sure, man. Shout out to them. And y'all, you can't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
For sure. Because Jared, I'm gonna shout you out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember you sending me that picture of you raising that raccoon as a child, and I tell you this right now.
Wait, what?
Oh, no, for sure. Yeah.
A real
If you
raccoon?
ain't know by now, yeah, Jared's Caucasian, y'all. Okay? Nah, for sure. Okay, and that's my brother. But I'm telling you right now, there's some stuff that you come from. He came from zero to the point to where he didn't judge nobody. He let a raccoon live with him growing up. And he told me this, and I was like, Jared, I'm going to have to talk about this eventually, right? He's like, Mike, I mean, yeah, it was just normal for us.
A real raccoon.
I'm telling
This don't even make no.
me when rattlesnakes are on the doorknob. He was trying to get into the crib. He's like, "Oh, Mike, I saw a rattlesnake today." I'm like, "Yeah, from a distance." Oh, yeah, I like National Geographic too. He's like, "Nah." He's like, "I had to get it from the house. My wife was screaming." I'm like, "Bro, what are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, Mike, but you know, I was raised with raccoons. Like, I raised a raccoon when I was little." I was like, "Bro, this is not a story you hear in black households. Tell me more." You know what I'm saying? And now we're talking about other things that you don't hear in regular households, which is him making $46K for an engagement. So even though you come from zero, you can get up to your next level, man. So shout out to our brother.
Yeah. Shout out to Jared.
Phenomenal. So let's talk about that. What would you say? What would you say if somebody said, "Okay, well, what do you do for a living?" Like they mentioned in Rock Nation and Jay-Z and Puma, like fashion icon. Like, what exactly do you do? How would you explain that?
So I would say at the core of what I do is creative direction and storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
I design and I do tons of work in the art space. So I noticed that it was connected for me. Like growing up, I learned I could draw at 7, but then every other gift was made through traumatic experiences.
Wow.
So it's like we went hungry, so I learned to cook and I became a chef later on. We didn't get haircuts, so I went and I swept up at a barber's shop and I watched them cut and I drew haircuts. Those little heads that used to be on the wall. I drew those. Wow. And I would say maybe 6 months later, I knew how to do a general fade. So I grew up cutting. So for me, that's just been a part of my life. It's like, all right, I can do these things, but how are they all connected? And God started showing me you're an artist at the core. And so I use my artistry to help brands connect ideas to our community or, just to their fan base. How do you tell authentic stories? And so to me, like that's at the core of what I'm doing. But when you say design, I design spaces, footwear, clothing, for a living. That's what I'm doing for a living. And I'm doing it with the who's who. It's crazy, the phone calls that come in and the amount of things that I'm asked to do. But that's how I say at the core, creative director.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was reading in your bio that you work with Emery.
Yes.
And you did Puma stuff with Emery?
Yep.
Okay. Emery's so cool. I met him when I was working at Rock, but how did you get introduced to Emery and start working in that space?
So
And tell them when you say rock, like what you
Oh, Rock Nation.
for the people that might be like, rock?
For sure.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Krishan.
Oh, wait, what?
Because it's a different rock. It's a bunch of them.
Okay.
Krishan. Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to Baltimore.
yeah.
So, what happened? Oh, y'all ain't know that rock? Oh, okay. She's not as big as the other rock, but it was just another rock.
I didn't know
People
she was from Baltimore.
Oh, for real?
That's where Emery's from, that area.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Bro, all you got to do is hear Krishan say, dude.
Okay.
So do you know who Emery is? He goes by Vegas Jones on Instagram.
I think that sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's one of Jay-Z's right-hand people, but he,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that too, so I'm glad y'all broke that down.
So a buddy of mine, I was in Cleveland, Ohio. I was working with a crew doing custom sneakers. I had taken on this president role. And so it was my job to come up with creative things that we can do. And a buddy of mine was a rep for, Villa or one of the sneaker stores that popped up in the city. And so he was actually repping and he had to go to New York to meet with Emery because Emery at the time was at Rock, what was the name of their brand? Rockaware. So Rockaware was still around.
Yeah.
So this tells you how
Emery
long ago
has
this
been
was.
around.
He said, what was the name of that brand?
Yeah.
Yo, we grew up on Rockaway,
I mean,
man.
listen, man.
How old are you?
Right.
Right. Look, I sold it many times, but to me, it's one of those brands that it's nowhere right now. Even though, you have Fat Farm, you have all these other brands, they're still kind of you'll find them in Marshalls and things. You don't see Rockaware anywhere. So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Got you. Okay,
But because I sold a lot of it. But he was a rep and he said, hey, I see you doing custom sneakers. You know who you should do sneakers for? And we were like, who? He was like, Emery Jones. So Leon Boyd from Cleveland, Ohio is the reason why I met Emery. And Emery, I was just like, okay, great. Now, in my mind, how my mind works is like, it's like math. You know, it's like, okay, Emery got Jay-Z, but he's not Jay-Z. So how do I get a shoe to Emery that he can take to Jay-Z? You know, so that's where the concept of inception and planning and just, you know, thinking about like, all right, what theme or story can I tell that would be relatable from Emery to Jay? And at that time, we did a shoe called the Brooklyn Zoo Jordan 1. And it was the first customized Jordan 1, reconstructed. And it sold for $2,500 a pair in LeBron's store in Miami. And then one of the guys sold a pair for $20,000 on eBay. So that was like that was in the year of meeting Emery.
Yeah.
We did that and then connected to Puma afterwards.
Yeah.
But it came from a person, man.
Shout out to Emery though.
Yeah.
He's the go. He be having a bunch of different ventures.
No, he's truly got influence. And I told Emery this one time. I was just like, I've been able to, I don't take being in the vicinity of people lightly. So I take it like two ways. I'm like, okay, God, you think I'm important, so you put me here. But then who is this person to me? What do they have for me as, you know, the reason why you put me here? So to be able to watch Emery work and to see somebody literally playing chess with life, like, nope, this move, no, that move. Nah, you don't understand this yet. We're going to do it like this. You know, so you have to take a back seat as a observer to somebody like Emery. That's how you're going to get the best benefit of his type of relationship, because you watch him move and it's just like, man.
He's an observer.
Yes.
He's low key. He just be sitting back. He's like so unassuming.
Yeah.
He just be sitting back. He'll come up, okay, I'm going to do this, do. You're like, dang, you calculated all of that in this last 5 seconds?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
so that's how that whole thing connected.
So tell us, so give us the origins, like, because you don't just go from, and I think it's so deep. You was like, man, we ain't have food, so I had to learn how to cook.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like cutting hair and just kind of learning.
Yeah.
2 questions. One, do you feel like because you lived in 15 different states growing up, that's what gave you your eye for fashion and creativity?
I was just talking to somebody recently about this, and I was just telling him, I was like, man, I thank God for showing me like the eagle's eye view after you've reached certain spots, and he takes you up and he's like, this is what I've been planning for you this whole time. So to me, as a kid, in those moments, man, we're moving from one house. You're watching people that you go to church with wear your clothes. You're like, I know that's my time. You know, and you felt doomed. But the one thing that was consistent was that we knew that God exists. So God has started like doing things for me just as an individual. Like I had took my worship and praise to a different level as a kid, because I'm like, I live in the projects. I'm seeing people die every day. My friends are in gangs. We're seeing more drugs in the schools than we're seeing on the streets. I don't know where I'm going to be, and we don't got an address. You know, so those are the types of things you're thinking about at 7, 8, and it's heavy. So I locked in with God after hearing Samuel's story, David's story, like taking all these young people in the Bible and looking like, oh God, you're interested in me as a young kid. So you could talk to me, you can give me these. So I started taking those stories like, listen, I'm gonna need wisdom. So let me pray for that, because I want the same thing you gave him. Like, you ain't doing nothing different. Give me. And God literally imparted those things, y'all. Like, my life has been a series of doing new things that I never knew I could do, but I can do all things through Christ. So that's, my life is like that. Like, so you had asked me to do a mural. Never did it before, but here I am doing this because God has called me to it. So that's been what my life, the origins of my life has been, looking at what I don't have and realizing that I'm it.
Break that down.
Bro, first of all, I feel like he broke it down. I just feel like it's one of them things where, you know, when as Cass was on the show, he'd be like, don't miss that. Or what does he say? Don't let that go over your head.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, and realizing that you're it, go ahead, follow Jeremy's instructions, bro. Break that down again, bro.
It's just, I never needed all the things that I thought that I would need.
It's already within.
It was already in me. So I started thinking from that perspective, like, okay, if I see a problem, if I walk into my place of work and I see a problem, nobody else has done anything about this problem. Whose problem is it?
It's your problem.
It's my problem. So let me clean this up and straighten this out.
Whoa.
Let me deal with these different things that I can see. Because that's only making my environment better, but it's also making a name for who I am. And so I watched my granddad do this, and it was something simple. He would walk into spaces and we don't even live. He'd pick up a piece of trash and put it in the trash. We don't live here though.
Yeah.
But I realized the service isn't for me.
Come on.
It's for everybody else.
Come on.
So the service industry and just being in retail, that's what it constantly is. Fashion is constantly moving, and you're solving problems. Whether somebody is overweight, somebody may not be able to fit that style, whatever. I'm constantly dealing with different people at different levels, and it just made me a problem solver. I started realizing like everything that God has put in my life. I remember things kind of clicked when I saw Slumdog Millionaire. Like, and you saw how all of his experience had something to do with why he can answer those questions. That's basically who I am on an American soil, but just after experiencing those things, you realize like, man, I'm here to solve problems. Like God created me. I started, my whole concept of life is like turn the mundane into something exciting. Because to me, the absence of something in the movie is what makes us dope. When you didn't have that thing and you looked like you was about to die, but then you won anyway.
Okay. So in order to be a creative at that level, that means you have to be able to pull in from everything around you. That also means that you feel a whole lot. So talk about your mental and your spiritual as a creative in this space.
Man, listen, that's a deep question. That's a deep ask, but it's so necessary.
Yes.
I'm getting ready to do a collab with Kenneth Cole, and it's about mental health. And so I started. Listen, y'all were talking in here earlier, and I was just over there nodding. But I realized and really locked in with God on just. This is really what you chose.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, y'all, I was struggling because I felt like fashion was the devil. That's what everybody in the church kept on. Oh, fashion is the devil.
Devil wears Prada. Right.
So there's this heavy, there's this heaviness that I'm experiencing being in this field. Like, God, this is really you. Is this the devil blessing me? Like, why am I, so I went through like fighting with God over something that's provided. I'm making 6 figures, we going on 7, and I'm stressed because I'm like, I don't want to gain the whole world and lose my soul.
Ooh,
I don't want to be in this position and feel like everything is cool, and then all of a sudden the water turns hot and I'm the frog in the pot. You know what I'm saying? So I started talking to God about it, and he's the one that actually started balancing the way that I think about it. Because as a creative, you're constantly, I guess you're criticizing yourself or your work. Nothing is ever good enough to put out. So God actually gave me his process of creativity. This is what I speak on to people. So in the beginning of the Bible, I remember praying and asking God for something deep because all my friends was like, Jeremy, like they got deep stuff going on. Deep brothers. I'm just like, God, I'm shallow, man.
Whatever.
What you got for me? I'm out here on a fashion circuit. I'm so
Say, God, give me something.
give me something. You know what I'm saying? I want to feel like somebody. Do I got a word? So God told me to read the beginning of the Bible. And I'm just like, okay, I read Genesis. I'm good. All right, what's next? It's like, read Genesis. He just kept on sending me to Genesis for a month straight. I kid you not. And it wasn't until I got it, like, so if he finished his work in the beginning, then all of his work was done before the Bible even started.
Oh my God.
So he showed me, like, it's already done. You know what I'm saying? And you don't gotta do as much, but here's my process on how I do things. I speak it. The world has no choice but to make it because my faith is there. So the rest happens, and then from there I make sure it's good, and then I move on to the next day. So that's my creative process. I speak it. I talk to my people about what we're getting ready to do. From there, I pray over it, and then those things come. God gives me the way. He gives me, the people, whether it be, he puts it all together. And then from there, it's my job to make sure it's good. Like, is this good? Wow. And then I move on. And from doing that, the mixtape, the different sneakers that you've seen me drop, they now become living things. You know, anytime that God created something, it had a function. It didn't just, he didn't create anything that just went off and died. The sky is still the sky, sun is still the sun. Like, so what am I creating? You gave me this creative power, then that means that I should be creating things that do things. And so that's where, you know, the telling the conversations, the doing the different stories. I'm like, everything I gotta do has to be layered. It has to have purpose.
Yeah.
And
I need to show 'em. Hey, what's up, y'all? Jeremy Anderson here, founder of Next Level Speakers Academy. And look, we're always looking to see how we can take to the next level. Me and my team have been meeting, and we said, man, how can we enhance the experience, right? How can we put the people within our community in the best position to get as many opportunities to speak and share their gift and their message with the world? I am pleased to announce that we have just launched our Next Level brand studio. For those of you all that's in the Facebook group and online and send me DMs, Jeremy, who did your website? Who does your branding? Who did your EPK? Who does your reel? We now build a team of people that's been working with us for years that's now going to work with you. So for those of you all that want a brand, right? You want a real custom logo and an EPK and business cards. You really want to put yourself in the best position to really be taken seriously. We've got the opportunity for you, right? For those of you that said, man, I need a website that's nice like yours, Jeremy. I don't have as much content, but I got enough to get a really strong website to put me in the best position. Man, we've done so many websites. We've got the team, the crew ready to support you. For those of y'all that realize people don't want to book speakers who are trying to be speakers, they want to book speakers who are already speaking. And you understand the importance of having a real polished and powerful professional speakers reel. Man, we got the team that's been working with me for over a decade, and now my team is your team. So whether you need a brand, you know, a branding and a logo and EPK and all of that, whether you need a brand new website, whether you need a speakers reel, Next Level Brand Studio is the go-to place for premier speakers like you. It's ready to take your message and your brand and your story to the next level.
So let me just show
I'm glad you said that because I wanted him to break it down too.
No. The mixtapes, man, like, man, these things here is a work of art. You know what I'm saying? These the ones I seen Jay-Z wear.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like the partnership with Puma. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about from when you went from working a job.
Yep.
Tell me about that. Tell me about the transition, right? And then like, give me a quick breakdown of like how you matriculate to now you've got these partnerships with Puma and
break down the shoe too, because it has stuff on there. We want to know what it means.
Yeah, I mean,
that's dope.
So the I would say that the beginnings of this is like dual-sided, because as you can tell, my story starts and it stops and starts from living in all these different places, from going all these different, like my story is like a Rolling Stone story. But I would say that 2004 is when I started doing custom footwear design. Didn't know that it was going to take me here.
So you wasn't working at that point. You was like, I'm going all in.
I was working. I was working at I was working in retail. So I was working in a clothing store in Cleveland. And I just saw like so many brands starting to make it. And I'm like, okay, I got to be able to make something. So I designed a shirt. And next thing you know, kids are picking up that shirt. They're wearing it to prom. I'm doing these hand-drawn sneakers on shirts and stuff like that. Pinstriping the Yankee hats. Like it started off with clothing. And then from there, I had a client when I got out of retail that wanted me to set up their store. And a buddy of mine was supposed to do sneakers for him to put in a window, but decided the week of, like, he wasn't going to do it. And so the guy asked me if I could do it. He's like, you know, you sold me on this idea. I really think we need this to launch. Can you do it? And I told him, you know, like I said, I'm not shy about talking about prayer life. I told him, I'm like, I'm gonna pray about it, because what he didn't see was my very first time trying to design custom sneakers, I failed miserably. And it was because I didn't know how. Now that I can look back and I can say I didn't know how, but at the time I just thought I sucked. I was just like, this is not working. But the knowledgeable me knows that the color combinations I chose was wrong. It was just a hard execution. But in telling that guy I was going to pray about it, this was the beginning and the start of all of this. And God gave me the know-how. Like I said, he's always done the Solomon thing. So my very first sneakers, I didn't hand paint at all until I drew the design on it, etched it in with razor, and then I actually hand painted it. So I was doing like 3 processes, and that's what started this whole train. And I had success immediately. Like, so some people, they'll say like, give it time, give it. I've had like every time I start something, God is always showing me like, this is it. Where he would slow me down though was my lifestyle.
There we go. Talk about that.
So the stuff that I do immediately draws attention. It starts, conversations. But God was like, you ain't in the right place though. Because the level of influence that you have, these kids are going to follow whatever you're doing. And I can't have you sitting up that high like that. So I've been up doing shoes for Usher, everybody, 2006, down, fall flat because the guy who I was partnered with on the store decided he wanted to close up and run off, and try to take the concept. I've been up as high as doing sneakers for Jay-Z, but at the time when we were doing sneakers for Jay-Z in the very first run, man, me and my family was about to be evicted, The company that I was working for was not paying me.
Come on, tell
You know
the
what
story.
I mean? Like, so I didn't just have faith up until the good point. This is the real story behind some of what you don't see and some of what you do see. Because a lot of people, they ride high off of the visuals. Yeah. And I talk to, young people about this all the time. I was like, y'all don't even want the money. Y'all want the look. Guess what? That look ain't feeding nobody.
Nobody.
That look ain't feeding nobody. Me and my family, man, me and my wife, before we moved here, one of the last things that happened to us was that we were in this house in Cleveland and I couldn't pay the rent. She was working. I was project to project. And we had just had Madison, the smallest little girl. And it was wintertime. It was headed to wintertime. And the landlord at the time.
In winter in Cleveland.
Exactly. The landlord at the time is a brother from church, He's just like, all right, well, you know what? I'm tired. You can't pay this rent. I'm gonna have to. He said, and if you really want to get funky, I'm gonna call the cops.
Wow.
So I was just like, man, I was at my wit's end. I was like, I'm becoming my worst fear because remember, I'm the kid that moved from house to house to house.
Right.
Father not able to provide properly, and now you got this narrative, and I'm like, God, I don't want that for my family. Like, to see my kids or to hear them feeling doomed because I can't provide a stable place for them to be was just not an option.
Wow.
So I came home to my wife that day and we got on our knees and we prayed. Like, we cried right in the doorway, like, God, listen, we need you to make a move.
Yeah.
So got a phone call. Next day. So this is the day the dude told me, he's like, Friday. So this is like a Wednesday. And he's like, Friday, I'm going to call the cops, right? So this is Thursday. Cops come to the door. And I'm like, this dude didn't even wait the day. Like, it's like,
Yeah,
this
he
is
didn't even wait
crazy.
till
Like,
Friday.
it's going, right. So cops come to the door. They knock on the door and they ask for him. I'm like, nah, he's not here. He's like, are you the tenant? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, this house has been in foreclosure for the past year. And so if anybody's asking you to give them rent, don't give it to them.
Look at God.
Look at God.
Listen, on top of this, he said this afterwards. Now, these are the cops. He said, oh, yeah, and stay as long as you like.
No way. A cop told a black man.
I
can't.
There's a lot to me and my wife's story that can seem movie-like.
Wow.
But it's all true. It happened. I didn't add a word. I didn't take away a word. This man told us to say, white cops.
Wow.
Stay as long as you like.
Stay as long as you like. And so that's when I knew, like, the troubles that we experienced, the things that I went through as a kid, me and my wife, and God wanted to show us he was there for us. And so this whole thing, with me starting and making these leaps in between, there's plenty of times I could have gave up and been like, this is it. It's always that this is it moment as an entrepreneur. 1 minute you up on the top, next minute this is it.
I don't know.
Yeah. So and I'm transparent about that, man.
Yeah.
And that's why, being here, being able to talk to your audience about it, people don't know. They just see the pictures of this person wearing the shoes. You don't even know what was going down at that time. Like, I had to use so much faith to stay at this level.
Right.
And to continue to until God like opened up and was like, all right, like you said, he has to trust you first, right? before he gives you that extra. So yeah.
You know, that's the reason why this podcast exists. It's because the next level for every person looks so different. And I love what you're saying about the fact that things that people are the most proud of, the things they compliment you the most, they have no idea what you had to go through in order for that story to even represent what you had to go through behind the scenes. There are people that are going through those struggle parts, wondering where they fit into their story. And it's just like, lean on God. Instead of looking at yourself, the reason why you feel like you're failing, look to the person who is actually there to provide.
Absolutely.
You know, what the thing that stands out to me about what you said is that not that the story got better before you did, but both you and your wife, y'all had to get on your knees and cry before him. And then the police officer came to give you the good news. The person that was intended to send the bad news is actually the person that God sent a day before to give you the good news. So there's a thing in the church, they say, what the enemy meant for bad, I'm so glad God did it for my good.
Absolutely.
Right? So when I see that God used the very thing that you were dreading, you were dreading Friday, you were dreading the cops coming, because he used that as the ultimate threat. If I can't get you out by Friday, the cops are going to come. That was his final layer of that to end for you. And God was just like, not only am I not afraid of cops, but I'm going to make that officer who has this position in black households be the person to give you your good news.
Absolutely.
So not only do you not have to pay rent, but stay as long as you like. We don't hear those type of words.
At all.
So what words are we avoiding, especially to our next level? Is what words are you all avoiding? What senses are you running from your own fears that you need to just embrace and lean on God? Somebody is trying to get to that next check, and you need to be worried about getting to the next prayer.
Man,
somebody's worried about getting that multitude of contracts signed, and you need to be checking in and asking God, what's the next level for you? What is the thing that he's asking you to do? And I think that as soon as we tap in to that connection, God already exists as a provider.
That's it.
Well, he's just waiting on us to stay connected to him.
It's already been done. And this goes back to the once again, him pointing me back to the beginning of the Bible. He's like, my work is done. He finished his work.
That's it.
So I just need to fall in the best thing I can do as a creative who has multiple ways of doing everything is tap in with God and say, God, which gift you want me to use? I'm a Swiss Army knife. Like, which one you want me to use? Because I got options. And you made me this way. And if I go based off my genius, I'm going to go way left, which I've done before. And so, before, just one more thing that's in the beginning, as us as men, I'm speaking to men. So when Adam and Eve sinned, Eve got cursed, and we speak about that. She's got the labor pains, the menstrual cycle. What did the guy get?
Kill the earth.
He got cursed too, though. But we don't look at that. So we look at what God told him, and we just ramble up. Oh, the ground won't give easy to you. You have to work by the sweat of your brow. We got to slow that down as men.
Come on.
That's our curse. This is part of the reason why I know he says he that find a wife find a good thing. Because guess what? Your helpmeet ain't got that same curse to the ground that you got. So my wife, he set up in a way where she was able to get it when I couldn't.
That's deep.
And I'm having my 40 days on the mountain experience with him. He's trying to get my character together. Like, hey, listen, I'm trying to give you something, but you got to get in line. And he had her in that position. And so we don't talk about that enough, and we lose patience as men thinking that I'm going to do what Jeremy says is going to work out tomorrow. Like, no, you still have to go through this process.
Yeah,
that's our curse. Women can't skip menstrual cycles.
That's
in the process,
that's good.
The process that you've gone through over all these years, you said it best, right? Like all the pain, all the things you had to overcome, all the things you had to endure is what made you who you are right now. So what would you say to the person that's watching and listening right now, and they feel like they're going through it, they feel like things ain't working out, they're going from place to place, and they just feel stuck?
The best thing for you is when you feel stuck, to me. Because in those stuck moments, I had no other genius left. I was at my wit's end, tears in my eyes, like, God, where you at? God is like, thank you. You put me in the game. Put God in the game. That's what I got to say to them. Stop trying so hard to save yourself. The Bible says it. You try to save your life, you're going to lose it. But if you lose your life for my sake, then you'll gain everything.
So I didn't bring you to the podcast to convict me. Bro, let me tell you one of the devotionals I read the other morning. I'm reading this book. I read it every year. It's called Secrets of the Secret Place. Okay. So whenever I'm trying to go deeper with God, it just always grounds me like nothing else. One of the books, one of the chapters, it was talked about the secret of no plan B. And they was like, so often we make God plan B, plan C, but he should be the number one. Yeah. And then they was like, not only should he be your first choice, there shouldn't even be a backup.
Right.
And they were like, sometimes we make relationships or money, you know what I'm saying, or liquor or drugs or porn or friendships or jobs, stability, our God, our go-to to ease our pain, when it really should be God should be that main source.
Absolutely.
But when you do that, it sounds like for you, though you had to work hard, the sweat of your brow, but it seems like a lot of I feel like you in that favor zone, bro. Bro, when I looked up last year and you had that partnership with LL Cool J, I didn't tell you about that. I was like, bro, I was like, yo, he favored. He's anointed. Like, talk about that and talk about some of the different brands you've worked with because God is your plan.
Yeah.
Hey, like we talking about side A, side B. He's side A. He like your plan A. There is no plan B.
Right.
Talk about, before we close, man, some of the different projects, some of the different brands you worked with, how that came about, bro.
So like I said, I'm a firm believer. I even got a tattoo on my wrist. But your gifts will make room for you.
Yeah.
And we stop there sometimes, but the next part of that verse says, and bring you before kings.
Yeah.
So to me, like, once again, I go back to the process. What is my process like? Am I creating like God? Or am I creating like somebody who's trying to be somebody? God don't got no lack of confidence in his creativity. So when he made a blade of grass, that blade of grass is created for that purpose, and that's it. I can go on and create another thing. And see, that's the thing that, to me has been able... I had no signature style, and I used to cry about that to God. Like, God, like, you got all these artists out here, and they got styles where they're known by these styles. Like, you put, that's Rembrandt, that's, Basquiat, that's, I'm like, where is my style? And to me, like, he showed me I was set apart because I'm more so in the zone. He could create anything. I'm not held to a zip code, area code, because I moved all over these places. I'm not held to a certain style. Right. But that's how it came about, by me being able to do something for LL Cool J. Then now I jump over here and I'm doing something with Puma. Then I jump over here, I'm doing something with Payless and LA Gear. Then I jump over here and I'm in Saks Fifth Avenue. And people are like, how do you continue to do these things? I'm telling true stories.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be anybody. I'm just being. Like, I got called to this level. I understand that, and I'm going to walk in it as if this is where I belong. Not in a cocky way, but to show up to say, God, you trust me? You put me on this mountaintop? Well, I'm going to stand here without my knees buckling then. Yeah, like, I don't have a secret to success for people to reach people other than do what it is that you do at the highest level that you finish the work.
But isn't it amazing how sometimes we want to be boxed in? You want a signature. That's a box.
It's a box. I didn't know.
You want to have something that everyone else has had to determine what success looks like. But God's like, I didn't design you to be in a box. I designed you to be a singular person alone, creating other boxes, maybe. But not you. And so it also reminds me, I don't know if you've seen that movie Encanto. You have kids. Have you seen it?
Nah, not yet.
Okay, anyway, the girl Mirabelle was like, I don't have a gift. But at the end of the day, she was the ultimate gift that blessed the rest of her family.
See?
And she and God, it was basically like everything went up to her versus her going down to everything else.
Absolutely.
So I was like, man, but yeah, we oftentimes want to be boxed in because that's what success looks like. If you can identify it by one singular thing, but that's not everybody's calling.
Yeah. And honestly, when you box yourself in, nobody's coming to see you anymore. Like, they're not seeking you out. So for me, my Christian walk, I don't do this on the South, that's been out throughout this whole thing. I get invited to everything. I've been invited to the brunch, I've been invited to a lot of different things, but I was telling them, like, I can't be there. And when I tell you the wave of respect that's come from that, I got one gig from one celebrity client. He said, I chose you because you actually had a standard. And so that's why we want to work with you. Because I didn't jump when they said to jump.
There's some people that would get invited to the Rock Nation brunch and would miss their own daughter's birthday to be there. But you like, you know what? That don't work with my schedule. We not in the line. I can't do it.
All those people are doing is being who God called them to be. Some of them maybe, some of them maybe not. They went left with it.
Right.
But I'm just saying, whatever you prize being at that event at, you're connected to the master of it. So why put that power in a being when you have all power over here saying, respect me and I got you. You know, hold me down and I got you. So to me, like, that's where I've been, and just really understanding I don't got to do a lot of stuff that people, Jeremy, we don't got enough time, but I haven't gotten anything that you see me with in the way that people say you're supposed to get it.
No.
And I'm saying not illegal. I'm saying prayer and making sure that God, I'm down to my watch and the configuration of this Rolex I prayed about. And was able to get it when my boys told me I was going to have to wait 2 years. So God is even interested in giving you things that other people may make you feel like, oh, you don't need to have that. God will give it to the person just for his glory. So
Straight
to
up.
me, like, that's where we're supposed to remain. Don't put yourself in a box. I'm on autopilot. I don't call anybody, Jeremy. Like I used to be, I went from, hey guys, we should do this. We should, to the person that is, nah, I'm good. And there's 6 figures I'm turning down. Like on the daily. Like, and it's because it's not all of them align with where God is taking me. See, this is another key too. To me, if you want true success, find out where God is taking you.
Right.
Then you'll realize certain people can't go, certain companies can't accompany you. And if you go left, then you go off the path of success.
Right.
Every stop, every hard stop that I've experienced at what I thought was a high point or moment was God stopping me from failure and saying, I'm going to pull you away from this because you're about to lose it.
Wow.
And if I didn't look at it that way, I would be like everybody else, thinking it's my gift, thinking it's something, thinking I got to get to Jeremy's level. I'm looking around. Don't look around. It's just you. You know, we it's so cliche, but it's really true. Like, it's you versus you, but it's you giving yourself to God. How hard is that? Like saying, out of all the things I want to do, I'm laying it down. And that's what Jesus did with that cup. He was like, listen, if you could take this cup,
Yeah, let this thing pass.
but he's like, nevertheless, I'll do it because you said it's your will. So for me, that's been the hardest part. And I'll tell anybody that's watching this podcast is that if you are struggling, you find yourself stuck, prayer, in a posture of prayer and a posture of faith after the prayer. Like, I don't pray and pray about the same thing again. I don't see. And my wife, me and her, we've had arguments about this. Like,
He said, it is done.
because I told her, I said, what are you praying about that for? You already, she like, well, you know, that's what, you know, I'm supposed to do. I was taught that. I was like, but listen, man, God gave you a leader that knows some stuff. Because I don't got nothing that I'm supposed to, you know, have to gain these things. But look at what God is doing for our lives. So he chose me as this leader to tell you, he knows.
Yeah.
So I pray about that thing. Let me pray about
The word
something else.
also says, you know, so he's before you call, he's answered.
Right. And certain things, and I will say, like, you know, certain things you definitely have to pray over. You have to fast to get
Yeah.
rid
Pray
of.
without ceasing. Right.
But I'm saying, like, needs, like, wants, we're not praying over that multiple times. So I treat God, a good friend of ours now, when we first moved here, we went to his house to eat. And he told me this. I'm going to just close up with this. But he told me, he said, people aren't praying prayers that make God feel like God.
Oh, so you gonna piss us off in the episode? Okay, I see what you about to do.
That's what he said. And I was like, was talking to the right person, because I was that little kid that's like, I need the wisdom of Solomon. I need to be able to kill bears and lions like David. I need God to trust me like he did Samuel. Like, I was going through all the best, you know, the Bible say covered the best gifts. Like, one of the best things you could ever do is pray, and pray to God like he is God.
Wow.
We don't pray to God.
Stop giving them cell phone bills and, you know. Come on, man. Come on, stop.
Go out here and do on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the life that I'm living that's causing people to see next level consistently. But what I feel like is more of what the Bible talks about, just walking that line. So you're watching me, you're seeing this.
Yeah.
But really, if you really look at it, I'm just staying the course. That's it.
Okay.
Speaking of the next level.
Right. So
yeah.
speaking of the next level, this is the Next Level Living podcast. What is the next level for you?
The next level for me and my family is doing having a creative agency. So we're going into that. We've been in practice for the longest time, but we're going into that because my whole family works with me. So my wife is my COO,
Okay.
but she also, is doing event planning and things that nature. My son is a photographer. He does all of my shoots. My other son, he does music. So my family, I told my family this. I said, we're the next level Noah's Ark, because they were tasked with building something that other people could get on. It was their choice. Some of the people
Y'all
helped
building
them.
that machine.
They jumped ship.
Something they've never seen before.
Yeah.
But they had room for all them animals, so they had room for people. So to me, God has given us, and he said it, as in the days of Noah, right? It just won't be water this time. But as in the days of Noah, we're living in that reverted time again. And to me, you need an ark of safety. You need a place that people can go where they feel like their talents are going to be maximized, and then they won't be middleman to death. And so the agency that I'm starting will deal with artists that are like myself, they're unknown but super talented, and connecting them to genuine, partnerships that can help them evolve and helping them do their line without all of this Alibaba and stuff. It gets crazy when you're trying to make a line. So trying to ease that process. So next level for us is creative agency all the way around the board, more so for our people than the rest of the world. They need us, to be honest. We're the Daniels, we're the Josephs.
Straight up.
In this world. So do we need to be sending you out there? No, we need to be cultivating what it is and becoming men and women of value in these last days.
Amazing. Bro, amazing. My last question for you before Mike closes out. Are there any particular brands that you like, man, I would really like to work with this brand here? Or are you just kind of like, man, they should be wanting to work with me?
There's one brand that I want to work with, Next Level. You know what I'm saying? I've been talking to my guy.
Now that you said it, hold on.
Wait a minute.
I'm telling the truth. Jeremy knows I've always reached out. But I'm telling you, right now, my life isn't about stature. You know what I mean? Because I think that's sometimes we get into the mindset of, I'm an artist, I want to work for. I want to work. And I was that as a kid. As I got older, I realized it was different. I don't want to work for or work with. I want to influence in a way that allows me to use the whole engine and not just half, where you take my creativity and then you tell your story against it. Right. So I want to be able to get to a place where I'm working with brands and I'm consistently getting what I call a 360 deal, which would be the creative, the actual marketing side of it, and the product development. All of those. I love it. Yeah, there's and really moving forward, I don't want to create anything else in vanity. I've been talking to God about this. I'm like, God, listen, I told him this, and this is a few months ago now. But I told him, I was like, I told my wife, I'm like, I feel like I'm going into artist mode, and I feel like I'll be able to speak more because God is putting me in front of some people. And then these gigs started coming. But then just wanting to be able to create without the feeling of this not being 100% right over my head. Because there's certain things that I'm involved with, and it's not the most proud moment. It's the most proud moment to other people. Right. But for me, I'm like, God, how can we make these to where they lead people directly back to you?
Right.
And he's doing that all in his own right. He has his ways of dealing with things. Right. But I'm just letting him know, where my heart is that I want to make things that last forever. That literally is built for eternity. That type of concept. So Next Level Living is on the list because that's what it's about. Yeah. There's no ceiling. I see a ceiling in a lot of buildings that people want to work at. And I don't want to work under any ceilings, man.
I love it. I love it. Let me tell you something. So I wasn't sure if I should even say, but we've been talking about this for a few years now.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And you didn't bring your vice president in for none of these conversations.
Sorry, y'all. I didn't want to.
It's all about timing. Yeah. But I do feel, because you said that and it's out here, we'll have another conversation off camera. Close us out. I'm excited. Thank you for being with us, man.
Yes.
Love what you're doing, man. This is This was special.
Y'all
Bro.
have
This is special.
We gonna leave y'all with this. Listen, if you didn't take anything from this episode, stop praying prayers that make God feel like he's not God.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all, utilize your access and ability to the next level.
Straight up.
Like, there's nothing better that you can do than to access that next level and realize that God has a true plan for your life. Y'all start right there, man. This has been this and so much more, but we got even more for y'all. And y'all know when it's coming. Next week, next level. Come on, let's go.
I'm on another level. I'm on another level. I'm on another level.